Hello everybody, this is King Kong 19... No, don't hit the dislike button. Hang on. Let me explain myself. Ah, shit. You already hit it, didn't you? Okay, well, to those who care to listen to my points and hear me out a bit, hi, hello, it's me, King Kong 9100, and today is the day where I bring to you my ultimate video on why Godzilla King of the Monsters sucks. You may have seen me around the fandom. I usually hop in when I see people really over-glorifying this film, even though I and a few others are able to see it for what it really is. Terrible, to put it lightly. Real quick, no, I don't constantly show my opinions down people's throats. I let people enjoy the film, and I provide my take on the subject using my platform. People either agree or disagree. If you disagree and you enjoy the film, that's fine. More power to you. Hell, you should have seen me on Instagram and YouTube when I had just watched the film. Like, I was totally starstruck. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. So, I just watched Godzilla King of the Monsters. Oh yeah, no dude, it was so good. It was so good. One of the best. It was one of the best Godzilla movies. One of the best. Dude, flat out, it was just like one of the best movies. Like, the movie was super good. But I've had some time, well, a lot of time, to really think about the film. I've thought about the main antagonist, the characters, the monsterverse as a whole, and how it connects to Godzilla 2014. I've really let it settle, I've really let it simmer, and I've formulated an opinion to which many other people have come across. Now, this video isn't to shit on people who do enjoy the film, it's to provide my viewpoint on how I view the film. To give you an actual, clear logistical reasoning as to why I think it really sucks. I see people praising this film, but the ones who don't praise it end up getting shit for not hopping onto the bandwagon. So I want to explain to those willing to listen why I don't like Godzilla King of the Monsters and why I think it fails as a film. So please sit back, grab a bag of popcorn, and allow me to explain why I believe Godzilla King of the Monsters sucks. So right off the bat, I'm going to start off strong with the biggest issues I have and kind of dwindle it off from there. My main biggest problem with this film is none other than the monster fights. For a film that's main highlights are the monster fights, the film gives us just total, complete dog shit fights. Like, this isn't even an opinion. I will break down the fights very quickly to explain how the fights are terrible from a filmmaking standpoint. Now, I have two other major videos I'm working on. One is how the Monsterverse nerfed King Ghidorah, and the other is how Kong stands a chance against Godzilla. And if those titles piss you off, please save your dislikes and comments for when those videos come out. I'll go way more in depth about the three main fights in that Monsterverse nerfed Ghidorah video, but to quickly break it down here, I say quickly, but it'll probably be like 10-20 minutes. To quickly break it down here, the monster fights suck, okay? Now you may be asking, why is that? Well, because conspiracy theory time, put on those aluminum hats. Okay, I believe, that was so dumb. I believe the main reason the fights are so bad is because Michael Dougherty is a Godzilla fanboy, and the audience he's catering to are a bunch of fanboys as well. So of course they will defend that film to the death. But just watch these fights. Godzilla is constantly owning King Ghidorah, who's built up to be this ultimate antagonist. Why is this a problem? Because the main point of watching a fight between two characters is to see them battle, not to see one trample over the other in every single fight of the film, because when you do that, you lose tension, you lose stakes. Now, I'm gonna also talk about this in its own category more, you know, Godzilla being way too overpowered since he basically bulldozes Ghidorah the entire film. But, yeah, I feel the need to defend myself because when I do say Godzilla was way too overpowered in this film, I get attacked a lot for it. But this is a storytelling fact. You can't have one character extremely overpower the other unless it serves the story. But the whole main point of the film is to see monsters fight, not see one trample over the other completely, you know? That's just tensionless. That's just horrible, you know? The whole Power-Up Cliche rant will be its own thing, I promise. But for now, I want to break down these fights and just open your eyes as to how bad they really are, since people act like it's the greatest thing ever, and it really is not. In the Arctic battle, King Ghidorah and Godzilla charge each other. King Ghidorah lands one physical attack on Godzilla, and it's this one which instantly gets swatted away. Red flag number 1. Red flag number 2 is that we keep cutting to these fucking humans Why are we cutting to these humans so often? Did they not take into account the criticisms of Godzilla 2014, which actually managed to stay onto a fight for more than 20 seconds? So yeah, one hit that gets swatted away, Ghidorah resorts to a beam and it stuns Godzilla. Immediately he's back up and ready for more. Human cut, fuck Doherty. We get another gravity beam attack and Godzilla fires his atomic breath, to which Ghidorah dodges it and fires his triple gravity beam attack, which causes Godzilla to fall into a hole. Where this hole came from, I have no fucking idea. Godzilla climbs back out of it and Ghidorah retreats from Godzilla, who is actively closing in on him, ready to go. Now, I don't know why. People will argue, well, Ghidorah got more hits in, so he won. Even though the canon novel states that King Ghidorah retreated. Hell, the scene clearly shows Ghidorah cannot take Godzilla in hand-to-hand combat. So, he retreats when Godzilla is actively closing in on Ghidorah. Like, what a bad fucking battle, man. Just this weak Ghidorah who constantly resorted to beam spamming, and then he retreated like a little bitch. The shitty directorial style just gets worse and worse. It's either the constant cutting to humans or the CG being hard to watch. We'll touch on that later. But for now, we have a weak-ass Ghidorah and a battle which constantly cut to humans. Not to mention, King Ghidorah retreated and he 100% lost this fight. The Mexico battle. This one's relatively short because Godzilla has the terrain advantage. You know what's funny? Nobody talks about how Ghidorah has been a good fighter underwater across the franchise, at least in 2 movies I can recall. Nobody talks about how he held his own against Godzilla underwater in GMK pretty well, and actually knocking out Showa Godzilla and Rodan underwater in Invasion of Astro Monster. But whatever, you know, I still understand it, so we chalk it up to a wash. Pun intended. Godzilla just outright dominates this fight. But even then, this fight is just so hard to see. What the fuck is going on in this fight? Why is it so hard to watch? Would it have been so hard to just get like a wide angle shot like in that concept art from Comic-Con? Like, and why do we still cut to the humans? This is probably the worst fight in the whole film. But damn, does that final battle come close. Oh yeah, Ghidorah gets saved by the humans here. First he retreats battle 1. Then in battle 2, he's unintentionally saved by the humans. And we'll talk more about the human characters later on, trust me. But for now, Ghidorah is still weak. The fights are still incredibly hard to watch, except now it's extra hard to watch. And we still cut to these fucking humans. Awesome job, Mike. Awesome job. Let's bring this baby home. Alright, here we go. The big final battle that is constantly teased throughout the entire film. It's been built up in all the trailers and TV spots. It was the talk of the town. It's the very reason you are here, to watch the ultimate final battle, Godzilla against his arch nemesis, King Ghidorah. Now the thing is, Godzilla just got a power-up. Now is that a cheap way of storytelling? Yes. Does it go against Godzilla's nuclear origins and everything the franchise stands for by just how he gets powered up? Abso-fucking-lutely. But again, we'll talk about that later on. Point is, Godzilla is powered up. So, in the beginning of the fight, Godzilla is automatically beating the shit out of King Ghidorah. Don't listen to what everyone says, this isn't an equal battle. King Ghidorah isn't kind of putting up a fight. No, Godzilla is beating King Ghidorah's ass. Any kind of physical hit King Ghidorah performs is not only instantly swatted away, but also quite effectively counterattacked. So with this constant cutting to these fucking humans, man, King Ghidorah is also getting dominated. That's 3 times in a row, ladies and gents. Wait a minute. Why is King Ghidorah seeing Godzilla's reflection behind him? Wasn't Godzilla just in front of King Ghidorah? How do you fuck up this bad? Don't give me that Godzilla could have just ran a half circle around Ghidorah nonsense, because Godzilla is walking quite slowly. Like, you can tell he didn't break stride. He wouldn't waste all that energy to begin with. Godzilla doesn't do that. You could have easily just flipped a shot. But whatever, you know, point is, King Ghidorah has been getting his shit rocked. I don't think he's landed like a single effective physical attack that has not been shrugged off by now. Now we have Mothra in the mix, so Ghidorah is screwed no matter what. And then Rodan comes in, and this fight, this Mothra versus Rodan fight this shit is so hard to watch. This is like the only clear shot of Rodan and Mothra we get until their final moments. The rest is just a stupid blur fight, and guess what? Constant cutting to humans. Thanks, Mike. So Rodan and Mothra do their own thing, cut to Godzilla wrecking King Ghidorah again. Now, King Ghidorah gets a power-up. This is probably the dumbest fight ever. Instead of an actual proper fight, we get this cheap Deus Ex Machina fight of a power-up over power-up. It's so fucking cliched. How many times has the character gets a power-up and is now untouchable trope been done to death, huh? The Mummy, Sonic, 50 other fucking Godzilla movies. This is done when a writer can't write a film. They wrote themselves into a hole and needed a literal Deus Ex Machina. So now, Ghidorah gets his power-up and Godzilla is just fucked up. His face is left sizzling and he's exhausted. Like, where was this Ghidorah? Why did we waste so much time when we could have gotten much more equal fights? Like, I don't even give a fuck about the shameless self-plug, man. Click the link in the description below to see how I would rewrite Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's way better than this shitty battle we get. Back to it. Godzilla gets attacked by that wing lightning attack, and he then rises back up. Then we cut to Rodan and Mothra. Of course, they reused the sounds from Godzilla 2014. That battle wraps up, looks shitty as ever. Hey, nice lava blood. Man, this is so bad, dude. This looks like some shit we'd see in fucking Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
We're here. The land of melting cookies.
Alright, well, cut back to Godzilla and Ghidorah in a quick whip pan, and we see these two fuckers are still staring at each other. Like, a minute had just gone by. Whatever, we get shitty human stuff. We cut back, and these guys are still fucking staring at each other. Ghidorah then grabs Godzilla, flies with him into the air, and then drops him. He's untouchable now! Godzilla hits the ground. He's basically crippled at this point, and then Mothra comes in and powers Godzilla up. But not immediately. Ghidorah blows her up and then starts siphoning that power from Godzilla. But then the humans go about saving Godzilla yet again, like they did in Aftershock in 2014, and then Kong gets saved in Skull Island. It's like, why the fuck are we still doing this? Why does Legendary keep having humans save the monsters? We get this shitty fucking CGI shot of Ghidorah getting distracted. Remember, the same studio worked on G14, and this film cost $170 million to make. That's $10 million more than Godzilla 2014. So, you know, Godzilla, now he gets another power-up, and he wins the day. Now he's untouchable. Do you guys see what we watched? These fights fucking suck. Ghidorah is constantly getting dominated. There is way more cutting to the humans than Godzilla 2014. The fucking CGI looks butt-fuck ugly in most shots. The choreography is terrible. The power-up after power-up shit, man, it's cheap, it's cliche, it belongs in shitty anime. I swear the list goes on and on. So what is the main point? The fights, the film's main highlight and main reason you're there to even watch, are fucking bad. Factually, they are bad. For a film that cost $170 million and over 5 years to make, the film still has shitty fights. But that is just my biggest problem. One that comes very close is the CGI. There is not much to say here. The visual effects in this film are fucking awful. The effects in Godzilla 2014 look amazing. They not only make the monsters feel real and believable, and contrary to dumb diehard fan belief that is needed to make the film feel more immersive on top of many other reasons, but the CGI just looks stunning in that film. I have an entire video on realism in the Monsterverse. I break down a ton of the shots in King of the Monsters that look bad. I explain how with a few tweaks it could look better, so go watch it there and come back. Hell, that Omniviewer video that came out has people acting like he made some kind of good point because he misunderstands what people mean by grounded and realism. Nobody wants 100% accurate physics and effects. We need consistency. We need the in-universe rules established in G14 and Kong Skull Island to stay in line and consistent. The monsters need to feel hefty and weighty. They need to make smoke that is actually dense and looks real. It's not about, fuck realism, monsters are monsters. Nobody wants to see a 100% accurate giant monster just crippling under its own weight. We need there to be consistency and somewhat accurate and grounded physics. Otherwise, you go from Pacific Rim to Pacific Rim Uprising. That drop in quality and care since the kaiju are already established. That can't happen, dude. Yet Legendary loves repeating their mistakes, as we see with, cutting to the humans. So go watch that video I linked. Watch D-Man explain this idea more in depth. And let me summarize this whole point once again. For a film that costs $170 million and over 5 years to make, we did not deserve the crap we got. There are many shots of just bad CGI. The color palette. This color palette is ugly. It's absolutely disgusting. It's extremely saturated in some shots, and it's always color graded beyond belief in most other shots. Having King Ghidorah always shrouded in his storm made it really hard to watch or to see the details of the character. I'm standing up and saying it's bad. The special effects, the constant reuse of stock footage and sound effects from previous films, the lighting, what we got was terrible. For a $170 million film and 5 years to make, they obviously spent their money poorly and made a film that was bad. And because the same studio worked on G14, worked on King of the Monsters, you can tell that making the CGI bad was a directorial choice. Yeah, guys, in terms of the CGI and the special effects such as sound and lighting, it was all just bad. Another huge issue I have are the power-ups. Now let me explain. I get a lot of slack because I do not like power-ups in films. Why? Because if you have one character who's overpowered from the get-go, the battles are just not fun to watch. There are no tensions or stakes in the battle. It's just one character whooping the other with no challenge. If you have some character who can power up at will, that's just lame. There is no struggle. There is no tension. So why would you even watch? How can a character grow? How can an audience be persuaded to root for a character if they do not face a challenge and are granted plot powers from the writers? This is why I hated seeing Godzilla dominate throughout the film. Unless you're some 8-year-old who adores Godzilla and never wants to see him struggle or lose, it's crazy no one else took issue with this. Because that's called being a fanboy. There's a reason that those fans aren't allowed to make films. When they do, you end up with a piece of shit like King of the Monsters. I want to see Godzilla struggle with King Ghidorah, not constantly mop the floor with him. I want to see a character who faces challenges and overcomes them. That's what makes us root for them, and that's what makes the audience sympathize with that character. That's what makes that character an underdog. If you have a character who can just power up at will, that is a tensionless fight. That's absolutely wrong. Power-ups are a shitty way of storytelling. They are completely terrible cliches that anybody can see coming. They offer nothing new, and they only serve to overglorify a character. They're only used when writers are lazy and write themselves into a plot hole. I don't care what anyone says, because if you have a character who can just power up at will, for example, like the earlier Godzillas were able to, that completely removes any tension in a battle because you know that character will win through being able to power up. It's an absolute cheap way of storytelling. It's unearned, it's lazy, it's cliched, it sucks. That is just a narrative, storytelling, filmmaking fact. I did not like the characters in this film. Were they better than Godzilla 2014? Well, some. Kaiju Network has a great video on how a great character like Dr. Serizawa was essentially just reduced into a laughingstock. I didn't like how they tried to make him some witty character who knew nothing in this new film. He always resorted to Kyle Chandler's Mark Russell, who just magically happened to know the right answer to everything. I don't know, man. Serizawa taking a backseat kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I really wish he was given more depth without emotional moments having to be ruined by some bad, lousy attempt at Marvel humor. Mark Russell was fine to me. He wasn't anything special, even though he could have been. I mainly have an issue with how Mike obviously directed Kyle to deliver his lines in this weird whisper manner. Like, why is it all he does is either whisper or yell? There's no in between.
I should have been there for it. It shouldn't even exist. After San Francisco,
Vera Farmiga's Emma Russell has the absolute most nonsensical character motivations for doing the things she does in the film. It makes no sense at all. She wants to restore the Titan hierarchy by eliminating most humans and restoring the planet back to the way it was, without all the human pollution and environmental damage we cause to the planet, all that shit, you know? But then she ends up having some change of heart after she, you know, committed the biggest mass genocide upon the entire human species. So at the end of the film, she sacrifices herself as if it would excuse the millions, if not billions, killed in the mass awakening. Vivian Graham, we'll call her Graham. You know, this amazing actress is just still sidelined and only there to stand in the background. Like either her hands are clasped or she's just providing exposition. Wasted talent? I think so. Madison Russell is just annoying, dude. Annoying. She's just there. She's really just there because people watched Stranger Things back then and the film needs like the most amount of star power it can get in order to succeed. Which is fine, you know, that's the case with a lot of films. But at least give this girl some damn depth or character. She keeps screaming or making these stupid faces. I'm obviously overreacting. She was fine, but I do wish she had more character or development. Both, actually. As for all the other expendable, forgettable characters in the film, I don't care, you know, they're all just okay. They're really only there to like spew exposition or stand in awe or praise Godzilla in some way, shape, or form. Like Doherty even made a tweet about how the stupid humans keep messing up again, even though it makes zero sense as to why they would detonate the oxygen destroyer when Godzilla is literally going to kill King Ghidorah. He uses the humans. Man, Michael Doherty. So, how do I even say this? So he uses the humans as plot points, not as true characters. They don't have humanity to them. The poor actors can only do so much with what they're given, but without the proper material or direction, that would pale across the film and really show. And this leads me into my next point, the director. Michael Doherty is, to put it lightly, a bad filmmaker. I don't like what he did with King of the Monsters. The way he illustrates the characters is all moronic is a bad choice since they are characters. He treats them as plot points. Their actions are done with little to no regard for what their characters go by. Their motives are always mixed up, and a lot of the times this even makes sense. They only do things to forward the story, even when it goes against all logic and reason, and especially their own motivations. But I really want to drive home how much of a fanboy Doherty is when it comes to Godzilla, so at least you guys understand my frustrations. Now, the way he treats Godzilla in this film is just ridiculous. Every single thing that is done is meant to overglorify Godzilla. Godzilla constantly wins all the fights in this film. He is always right about everything and knows far more than the humans, often cleaning up their mess, that being the awakening of Ghidorah. Doherty treats Godzilla like this fucking deity because of how much he loves him. He has characters constantly spewing out dumbass fucking lines like, "Long live the king," and he really shoves it in your face how much Godzilla is the answer and that humans are morons. Not my cup of tea. There's a whole Godzilla is king crowd and I tend to stray away far from them. I would do the same, I do the same if people overglorify Kong, overglorify Godzilla, you fucking Mothra, Monster X, Gamera, whatever. Man, the fact that the same studio worked on the visual effects for Godzilla 2014 shows that making the visual effects look bad was obviously a directorial choice. Doherty made these effects look so bad on purpose so he can make some lazy imitation of the Toho films, which, if I'm being honest, most are not good. I still love them, but they aren't that good from a storytelling perspective. But anyways, what I'm saying is, Doherty made a cheap imitation of the Toho films instead of doing something new with the characters, both human and monster. Doherty literally makes Godzilla way too powerful. I've shown how Ghidorah is made a bitch throughout the film, but Rodan and Mothra are too. For one thing, they're way smaller than Godzilla, so automatically they couldn't stand a chance against Godzilla or Ghidorah. So this means they're in their own smaller league, inferior to Godzilla, who is superior to Ghidorah. These two monsters are sidelined throughout the entire film. Rodan has a great jet scene, but Mothra barely gets any screen time. But my main issue with these two monsters is how small they are, because it would have been way better if they were closer to their original Toho sizes in comparison to Godzilla. But as far as I'm concerned, they only serve to portray Godzilla in a much, much more overpowered light. This film has one of the worst This film has the worst plot point in all of Godzilla history. Not once in a Godzilla film has Godzilla been revived with a nuke without the use of nuclear weaponry leading to punishment. In all of Godzilla's years, he has never been revived by a nuke and let that slip by without punishment. Firstly, I need to address the inconsistency. Dr. Serizawa in Godzilla 2014 was all about not letting the military nuke the monsters. He illustrated the importance of the events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how that cannot ever happen again in human history. But in King of the Monsters, he is the one who detonates the nuke in order to save Godzilla. What the hell happened to how he felt in the first film? That's just done? Now I need to address how it goes against Godzilla's roots. Godzilla, as we all know, is a metaphor for the use of nuclear weapons and the devastation it brings. If humans use nuclear weaponry, any incarnation of Godzilla would punish humanity for that. It's in his character to do so. Godzilla gets revived by a nuke in this film, and the humans think it's the right thing to do. They revive him, he saves the day, and instead of punishing the humans, the movie is just over. Godzilla would never do that. He would never do that. People will often bring up Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, 1991 version, yet they forget that in that film, Godzilla ended up punishing humanity anyways. Godzilla punished humanity for using nuclear weaponry. And that is something that Doherty, a supposed Godzilla fan, ended up missing entirely. He missed the point of Godzilla's character by fucking light years. He went in the opposite direction of Godzilla's character, and people act like it is a 100% unapologetic Showa film, or that it's resembling a Toho film. Maybe in other aspects of filmmaking, but certainly not in sheer principle and message. The film is completely pro-nuke. It delivers a pro-nuke message despite the inconsistencies in both Serizawa's character and Godzilla's character over the many, many years of his history. They could have chosen a different route, but instead Doherty decided, let's go against over 60 years of anti-nuclear metaphor in order to appeal to the debaters who say Godzilla eats nukes. Let's set aside all consistency to characters of the past films and the entire franchise in order for this stupid plot point to work out properly. No matter what anyone says, Doherty and crew fucked up bad on this part of Godzilla's character. There is no excuse for having Godzilla get revived by a nuke and have Godzilla not punish humanity for it. If he doesn't punish humanity for this in GVK, then there's obviously going to be some fuckery at play. It's also worth mentioning that I feel like Doherty wasted important aspects of the Godzilla mythos, such as burning Godzilla and the Oxygen Destroyer. You can tell he included them because he thinks he'll never get his hands on a Godzilla film, which I'm hoping he never gets his dirty paws on him again, but you can tell he thinks he's never going to get his hands on a Godzilla film, so he's just cramming every possible thing from the Godzilla mythos he can in order to create a Godzilla film. And the childish fans, of course, will eat it up. I've said this before, but the Oxygen Destroyer and Burning Godzilla went totally wasted in my opinion. They hold a huge amount of significance in the history of Godzilla, but here they serve as short cameos for scenes that are quick and forgettable. If you're going to use those important aspects of the Godzilla mythos, you can totally do that. You can use them, you can build upon them, you can do something new with them, of course. No one wants to see the same thing over and over again, I definitely agree. But make it significant, make it a huge plot point since they're important parts of Godzilla's history. At least do something new and original with it, not just, oh, here's a quick cameo. Make it memorable. Here, like, first off, nobody gives a fuck about the... If you only saw King of the Monsters in 2014, only the Monsterverse stuff, you would not give a fuck about the Oxygen Destroyer. You would not give a fuck. You'd just be like, oh, Burning Godzilla was cool, but you would never know how important it was back in the day and how important it could be in future movies if they actually cared. And Ghidorah, let me just quickly say, nobody would have known King Ghidorah was gold in this film. They would have thought he was just a big brown dragon. The fucking weather effects in this film are awful. But that's aside the point, and I'm starting to rant. Another reason this film sucks is because it disrespects not only the franchise history of Godzilla as we just discussed, but also Godzilla 2014 and everything that Gareth Edwards built. Look, I get it. Is Godzilla 2014 a perfect film? No, it has flaws, it has boring characters, the soundtrack is kind of bland at times, some things are confusing, I get it. But if there is one thing that Gareth did great, it's that he was able to build suspense perfectly. despite the characters not being that great. The suspenseful moments still hit really close to home. That's why moments like seeing Godzilla in full during the final battle, or the airport scene, or the kiss of death scene just lands perfectly. Because the suspense, I didn't even mention the Golden Gate Bridge scene. It's because the suspense is paid off. But everything that Godzilla 2014 built, from characters to structural foundations to the Godzilla design, are all just stripped away. Doherty goes about killing off all the characters from 2014. Dr. Serizawa, Dr. Graham, Admiral Stenz in a deleted scene. It's just ridiculous. It's a waste of talent, really. And in terms of Godzilla design, Kaiju Network's video perfectly describes what I mean when I say Doherty just lazily copy and pasted Toho's designs with no originality. Instead of improving the 2014 design, which made it so unique in the first place, he just made it lazily resemble the Toho designs. And I ain't a fan of the spines, you know, they just don't fit the legendary Godzilla in my opinion. But yeah, Kaiju Network's video makes a lot of great points about how great Garrett's film is, so I recommend you guys watch that video. I personally think that Doherty shitting on the characters of the first film, going against the nuclear allegories that were set up, and making unnecessary design changes was a poor choice that shows Doherty has no idea what he's doing. Not a single clue as to what he's doing to make a good Godzilla film. The music in this film is alright. Now, I like Godzilla. You're probably like, what the hell, man? This guy just wants to hate on the film now. No. I like Godzilla's theme, but there are really only a few good pieces in the soundtrack. The rest is just forgettable, and the constant chanting comes off as obnoxious. I mean, I like the Godzilla 2014 theme, and while I did hope for the Toho themes to come back, which they did, I really wish they could knock it off with the chanting. But other than that, you know, the music is still one of the stronger aspects of the film. I just wanted to mention that the chanting came off as a tad annoying to me, personally. But I'm glad many other people enjoyed it. So, to summarize my main points as quickly and neatly as possible, I think Godzilla King of the Monsters sucks. The reasons being that the fights are god-awful for a plenitude of reasons I listed earlier. The CGI is horrible for a film that cost $170 million and took over 5 years to make. The film has a variety of cliches which comes off as stale, unoriginal, and uninspired. The characters are bland at best and lazily written. The directorial choices were terrible. The film has a pro-nuclear message that goes against everything Godzilla has stood for as a character for over 60 years, against his very reason for existing, the very reason he was created in the first place. The film wastes many aspects of Godzilla's mythos for a quick scene rather than having it hold some level of significance like it used to. It disrespects Godzilla 2014 in many ways, and the music is overrated, what with the excessive chanting. Only a couple pieces are good if I'm being honest. Now that we know why I think the film sucks, what about my activity in the fandom? Why do I defend my point so strongly? Well, the reason I'm often seen providing my take on the film is because I think this film is extremely overrated. I see fans that overglorify every little thing about this film, from characters to the fights to Godzilla. They will die exclaiming this film is perfect. Like, it's just mass delusion. It's people remaining blind to the flaws the film really has. And don't get me wrong, it's fine to enjoy a film, but to go about acting like it is the greatest, most perfect thing ever without listening to other people who have valid differing opinions is just totally and completely asinine. And I also defend my views and make this video because I do get many comments either asking me to, or asking me why I don't enjoy King of the Monsters, or shitting on me for hating the film. So of course the reason I make this video is to provide my opinion on what I think about Godzilla King of the Monsters and why I think it sucks. And that is going to be it from me, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm tired as fuck. But more importantly, I hope I've shed some new insight to those who are genuinely curious as to why I, and many other people, strongly dislike Godzilla King of the Monsters. I personally believe that the more viewpoints you listen to, and the more viewpoints challenge your own, the wiser you become. I feel like I heard that somewhere before. So I invite the discussion that is brought from this video. Let's try to keep it civil. I mean, I know I didn't really sound very civil, but it's honestly just a lot of pent-up frustration with the fandom at the moment. But please, I implore you guys to leave your thoughts down below. Let me know if you guys agree, if you disagree, or anywhere in between. More videos to come soon. This is King Kong 9100 signing out. Until next time, Bye-bye.